Art and Creativity for Healing is a nonprofit organization which supports emotional healing through art and creative expression for those living with pain, grief, fear, or stress. The programs provide support, acknowledgement, and personal acceptance to those who may be experiencing illness, abuse, or painful challenges in life. You're listening to Collage, a public affairs show on KSBR.org. I'm Dawn Camber. Our guest is Art and Creativity for Healing founder and executive director Laurie Zagon, who's also an artist, educator, and author. And joining us is my guest co-host Elizabeth Ortiz. Well, Laurie, please explain why you started Art and Creativity for Healing.
Well, that's a good one because it goes back a while now. You know, I keep looking at all the years that have gone by and I feel like I have the best job in the whole world and how incredible it was. Here I was, a artist and professor of art in New York City in the mid-'80s, and some of us remember the mid-'80s. And I was very excited about what was happening in my classroom because I began to experiment with some different methods at the City University of New York, where a lot of the students were non-art majors and they wanted to just have fun and take an art class and paint. And the way things are set up structurally in most art colleges or art departments is that you're really learning technique and technical skill. And so I really wanted to have a more soulful approach to allow people to just express themselves and work abstractly. And I did that, and it was amazing. I had so many students that actually wound up being artists that years later would say to me, "You have changed my life. I went through a door that I never thought I would have gone through, which was a more soulful approach to art, and today I'm an artist." So it was a very exciting time for me to see that. And also at that time, when I saw how effective it was with my students, I happened to have had interest from a bunch of Wall Street executives in New York that were, you know, six-figure incomes, platinum and Rolex watches, no cell phones at that time, by the way. And they came to my studio. One of them was interested in buying a painting. And he actually, and the guy that he brought with him, asked me if I would ever do an art class for them. And at that time, I thought, well, what would I do with you guys? You're on Wall Street. I'm on the other end of town. How interesting that'll be. What would we do? And they said, oh, we're only interested in coming to mess up a canvas one night. And that, to me, was profound. I couldn't believe that anybody just simplified it like that. Come and mess up a canvas. I think everybody would like to do that at one point or another in their life. So I said, okay, guys, I'll do it, but you've got to get 10 people together and call me back when you do, and I have to rent a small conference room in Manhattan at one of the local hotels. And I thought to myself, they'll never call me back. I'll never hear from them again. And of course, I was absolutely wrong, a little negative New York thinking. They called me the next day and said, we have our 10. And I said, well, who are your 10? And they said, well, there are 9 men and 1 woman. And, you know, I got a little nervous and thought, whoa, 9 men and 1 woman, this should be very interesting. So I said yes, and I rented the space, and they showed up that night, and the door that was, you know, the one area where they were coming in from, they marched through like ducks in a row in Armani suits. And I thought, wait a minute. They're wearing these at the time $1,000 Armani suits, and they're going to be painting with acrylic paints that are going to stain. And I said to them, you know, guys and lady, we're going to be painting. And they started yelling at me, saying things like, well, we just came from work, and we work from like 5 o'clock in the morning on, and how long is this going to take? And they were tapping those watches, and I was just like, oh my God, these people are so tightly wrapped. How am I going to ever do this? So I said to them, okay, just sit down. Let's see what we can do. I'll get you out of here as quick as I can. And they sat down. I started teaching, and within 20 minutes, life-changing for me, 20 minutes, they were 5-year-olds painting, and the jackets were off, and the sleeves were rolled up. And they were so into it, they were in the zone. And I thought, whoa, if I could do this with them, think of all the other kinds of people that I could help with this method. So about halfway through the workshop, he was a VP at Goldman Sachs, calls me over, raises his hand and says, you know, where's the painting that you reviewed a little while ago? And I said, oh, it's drying. It's over on the side drying. And he said, oh, well, don't let anything happen to it because I have to get it to the framer tomorrow. he's getting it framed. I mean, really, I thought, if this is what's happening in this class, there is so much, to do with this work. And so I began to do a lot of those. I had all their friends. I had lawyers and bankers and Wall Street guys and women calling me, oh, I want to do that art and stress thing that you do. And so I did that for a while, and I really liked it. But quite frankly, I felt like I needed to do more, and I didn't know what it was. And just when I started thinking that, I get a phone call from Random House Books from a woman named Cheryl, who said, I'm an editor at Random House, and I want to come and see you. And I said, why do you want to come and see me? And she said, I don't know, but I need to come and see you. And I thought, okay, another weird New Yorker. And so she shows up, she looks around, and she says, okay, we're going to create a book called It's Never Too Late to Have a Happy Childhood, Inspirations for Inner Healing. We're going to use your paintings, and we're going to have Dr. Claudia Black do inspirational sayings that will be written underneath the paintings. And I said, oh, okay. And I was quite mercenary at that point by saying, and will I be paid for this? And she said, absolutely, well paid. So she said, do you know who Dr. Claudia Black is? And I said, I have not a clue. And she said, I'll send over her tapes and her books and just get to know her pretty quickly so that she's going to come and visit you in another week. So anyway, I read her stuff, and it was all about kids and adults, of course, who had come from alcoholic homes. And it was brilliant, and she's brilliant, and I still love her to this day. She's changed my life. And she's in Arizona, but she was in California at that time. And she is somebody who went through it herself. Her dad wound up dying on Skid Row, and the alcoholism was what really just was the key focus in her family. And she made it out and wound up becoming a psychologist and being known for that. And so, hidden in this story is also that I was not aware that I was living with an alcoholic in my own home at that time. So Claudia Black was the one who kind of cracked all my denial, because my dad was a liquor salesman, and he had worked 40 years, leaving in the morning and coming home 10 o'clock at night. And he was doing, selling to different bars and restaurants, and he was drunk when he came home every night, and he would pass out in the living room chair. So all of that was really this story of realizing that Claudia's work was affecting me as well. So make the long story a little shorter, I came out to California. I met Claudia. She had come to my studio in New York first. We became friends. I decided to move. I left my teaching job for a year, took a leave of absence. Of course, never went back after that, left California, and said, excuse me, but people live here? This is like being on vacation all year round. The bars were on my window in New York, in middle Manhattan, so it's quite a different story. And Claudia introduced me to all of her friends, and she had a party. The first party I went to, there were about 60 therapists. I had never been in a room like that with all shrinks. And although I had had my own share of having therapy for 18 years, but I never knew what it was like to be in a room with all of them. I was the only outsider. And they were all so excited about getting together with me to talk to me about working with their groups. And so that was the beginning for me. It was working with people that were coming out of 30-day treatment for alcohol and drug use. It was working with heart patients. It was working with cancer patients. It was working with children with AIDS, which at the time, through Children's Hospital Los Angeles, the kids were not getting the drugs that they needed, so they were dying. So I was able to go in and work with them in a way that was very scary to me, because I didn't think I'd be able to make it through a workshop knowing that these children were that sick. But I had an experience with this social worker who looked at me and said, this is not about you. This is about them. We have plenty of people that can pray for them and help them in other ways, but we don't need you to do that. We just need you to come here and do a workshop, because we don't have anybody that does what you do. Bang, bang, bang. It was like being slapped in the face. And I thought, wow, okay, this is not about me. And that was the beginning for me to realize that I was really being called to be of service to this kind of work.
And explain, I understand it's not art therapy.
No. So the difference between art therapy and what we do, ours is a visual art therapy, but it's a therapeutic process. Art therapy is such a great course, and people go to school for 4 to 6 years to become art therapists. I never want anyone to think that we are taking anything away, but they're really trained to do one-on-one work and working for agencies and reporting and talking to their patients in different ways. What we do is a visual arts method, a fine art method, where we're using abstract colors on canvas, which anybody can do. You don't have to be an artist. We use sponges and Q-tips instead of brushes, regular traditional brushes. And we work on canvas, and we work with some of the best acrylic paints on the market. And everybody gets a chance to tell their story with colors, and they're abstract colors. So no one knows when you see the painting what it means unless the artist talks about it. So what happens is that when people come in our classes, and any of the groups that I've worked with, they're able to tell their story in colors. So it's a new language that we've taught them. And it's a way to get out some of those feelings. So it's like having something weighing on you, very heavily. And then by the time you finish painting, some of that weight is lifted. I'm not saying we cure anybody, because really people are creating their own healing space in our classes. My teachers that are all trained and certified through Brandman University, by the way, which I'll mention in a minute, but they are trained not to get involved in anybody's story. They're there to be guides, to just facilitate the prompts, and that's it. And people are able to learn from them, but not depend on them to tell them what they're supposed to be doing.
So is this a therapy that has been discovered through all these shrinks?
Well, some of them, yeah, I don't think they're using it because I was doing the facilitating in those days. So, but I have a lot of therapists that train with me now from all over the world, actually, that fly in for our certification programs in the summer. We have 7-day intensives through Brandman. And what happens is that they get the tools they need in 7 days to go back and use it in their practice. So I love that, because I've always felt that this was my calling, but it was a calling to share. And I do have copyright, but you know how it goes in life. You just kind of give it out and let it be wherever it goes. And what's happened with it is that we've now worked with over 70,000 children and adults that are suffering from a variety of things, whether it be grief, and so much grief of people losing loved ones, and also people that are sick, and also people that are going through mental illness. We have so many different ways that this is helping that it shocks me. I mean, I can't even tell you that I think, just like this little girl from Queens, New York, all I ever wanted to do was be an artist, and to share this has been a gift. I've been a teacher for over 44 years now.
And you're talking about art is a language. So kind of share with us the language of art.
Well, the language of art for me has been teaching people color and how to use color in an abstract way. So when we put out a tray of paint, it has the primaries, the secondaries, black, white, and brown. And when people dip into the first exercise, which usually is something like fold a paper in 4, and I'm going to give you 4 different words. Each time I'm going to have you close your eyes, take a deep breath, and relax. And then I'm going to have you just listen to the word, and then open your eyes, and then pick one color that reminds you of that word, and do a little energy with that color. No pictures, no words, just color, energy, like an abstract squiggle or stroke in one box. And we do that 4 times, and that's a warm-up. And so as soon as they do that and they dip into the paint, they change dramatically, because they feel that visceral quality of the paint and the colors. Everybody loves color. So all of a sudden they're realizing, oh, I chose that color. I never would choose that color. Orange is my least favorite color. I don't know why I chose that. But it's fun to see, because they're just allowing their intuition now to take over. And so a lot of our work is intuitive, and it's really letting people get out of their own way. So what I'll say to them is, be an open vessel for creativity, but you have to get out of the way. You have to yield. When you yield, everything comes through you like you've never seen it before.
So when they look at their piece of art, they kind of get an idea of what's in their head that they don't see on the outside.
They look at it and it represents whatever it was that they answered when I asked them a question. And that's what I do. I ask them questions about their life. So like something that's negative or difficult in your life right now that you feel upset or angry about, choose 2 colors to represent that and paint those colors abstractly on the canvas anywhere. And so when they see it later, when they build that painting, because we have 7 questions, let's say. So by the time we're done, there's 14 colors, or sometimes they repeat colors. They see it as this tapestry of being able to put their answers together in a way that they never have before. So when I ask them, what did you gain out of this exercise? They're often going to say things like, I didn't realize I felt that way. Or this was something that happened 20 years ago. I can't even believe that that's what came up. Or I didn't realize that I need to make amends to somebody. Or I'm just feeling really sad about losing my pet. I mean, it can be anything that they're sad about, but it's going to be put into these abstract colors that they fill an entire canvas with, and no one else knows the story because there are no pictures. It's just colors, but them.
So are these 7 questions, 7 emotions that they're feeling?
No, they're just questions, life questions. So just basic things like who else was involved and what's making you feel angry or upset. I mean, we just kind of keep it generic because we're not therapists, so we're not trying to therapeutize anybody. We're just asking basic life questions. And we have, I have so much curriculum. We also have 21 of our classes online that people can go to from all over the world, which is now what's been happening. And it's been amazing to me because anybody can do it. I mean, I work with seniors at senior centers out here, and they're in their 90s, and they have some agility problems. And so being able to use sponges and Q-tips is a way for them to be able to do this process. It would really be difficult for them in dexterity to be able to use a brush. So amazing. So I just think, it's beyond me. I don't really like to take credit for it, because I actually think that it's been this gift that's been given to me to be a steward over.
We're talking about colors. Can you kind of give us an idea? I realize that color means something to different people, but is there a primary color that is kind of similar, that represents emotions of many people?
Well, I'll give you the idea. Like, we're doing a program called Raging Colors, Expressive Art for Teens, and working with troubled teens that are from the Orange County Department of Ed Access program. A lot of schools where they don't fit in to other schools. And so often when we start out working with them, like 4 to 6 weeks, they use up all my red and black. I mean, red and black, red and black, red and black. And so much of it is about the rage they feel. So sometimes red is the rage, sometimes black is the rage. Sometimes red is the blood from something that happened to them. Sometimes the black is the darkness in the middle of the night where they feel their, epitome of sadness. So they tell us what it means. So it's not always going to be the same, but I will tell you that teenagers are attracted to red and black because I have to buy a lot of extra red and black when I go and see teenagers.
In case you just joined us, you are listening to Collage, a public affairs show on ksbr.org. I'm Dawn Camber. Our guest is Art and Creativity for Healing founder, executive director Laurie Zagon, who's an artist, educator, and author. And joining us is my guest co-host, Elizabeth Ortiz. Well, Laurie, I know you have a facility in Laguna Hills where many of the trainings occur.
Yes. So we have a wonderful facility. It's really Lake Forest, Laguna Hills, because it's right off the 5 freeway and Lake Forest exit. And it's a wonderful facility that was built out for us by our landlord, who's great. Got to put a plug in for her. And we have the ability to have classes there. So on weekends, I often do classes for the community, but then also all the training programs that we do. And we do 4 training programs a year. We're Chapman University's Brandman Extended Ed program. We've been working together since 2007, I believe. And we have developed this partnership to create an Art for Healing certificate program. And we're the only ones in the country that have it. No one else has it. So when people Google Art for Healing, we come up. And I just get the best people that travel from all over. I just had somebody last month from the Philippines, and she just had the best time. So these are all people that want to learn our method, and they want to take it back to their communities and use it. So some are therapists, some are artists, some are medical professionals, some are teachers of any kind. I mean, I've just had about every type of person. And then some are people that just want to do this for their churches or synagogues. So we get a lot of different, people that come. It's the program is a really good one. The summer one, the 7-day one, in July we do one and we do one in August, is so intense that we flip everybody out in 7 days because they're doing every assignment that's in their training manual. And so what could possibly happen? Lots of feelings are coming up, and they get a little edgy and a little testy by the end of the week, but they also say that it's like they felt like they've had a year of therapy by doing all the artwork and ready to then take it to their communities.
Does that mean that they have to kind of feel what it's like for all the potential clients that they could be dealing with so that they can help facilitate the clients to express their feelings through the training that they will present to the clients?
Yes, they are going to have to feel the feelings, because you cannot teach anybody this work unless you've done your own work. So all my facilitators who have gone through the Chapman program, Brandon program, they are all certified. And so I pick out the people that I feel would be best suited for us to have independent contractors as teachers. So we have 15 going to 18 at this point, because we have so many partner agencies throughout Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego that we go to. Some of those are like Camp Pendleton Marine Base. We go to a program up in Santa Fe Springs that is women coming out of prison and men coming out of prison. We've just started working with the men, and they're just loving it, absolutely loving it. It's called LA Cata is the name of that program. Wonderful people that run it. And so the seniors that we work with locally, all of them, they line up waiting for our facilitators to show up at these locations. And they're free, by the way. So when we partner, whoever goes to those locations is they're able to get the class for free. We have people pay when they're at our studio, and my training program keeps our lights on. We're a nonprofit, so we have to have ways to bring in income to pay for all the freebies that we do. But free is the way to go. When I started this 18 years ago, I knew that no one was ever going to pay me to go into their facilities and do this. So I had to raise money and figure out ways to go in and do it for free. And that's been the success as a nonprofit.
Now, the kind of art that they create is not something that you or I potentially could identify as something. It's really what comes out of their mind, correct?
Correct. And some of them, I mean, the colors are so beautiful, and they weave the colors together in ways that are so unique. And I love seeing them. One of my favorite things is watching them put the first colors on the canvas and then seeing it progress. It's very exciting, because for me, as an artist and somebody who loves art, I love seeing people be creative. I love seeing people find that creative center inside and then be able to, even the ones that say, I'm not an artist, I'm not going to be good at this, they're the ones who do some of the best work. And I always do a little, Seinfeld Elaine dance. I told you so, I told you so. And they're so excited that they found tools now where they thought they could never be an artist. They now realize that they can. Anyone can.
But it's almost like an outlet for them, much like a person writing in a diary.
Absolutely. It's journaling. It's another form of journaling. Absolutely. That is right on. And we even do some journaling exercises in our training program for our facilitators to take back to their communities. Yeah, absolutely.
And you also allow volunteers to participate.
I have over 100 volunteers. We have the best people that are attracted to us. We do 4 volunteer orientations a year. It's on our website. People can look at that. We just have had the best luck with people, and they join our women's guild. So we have a women's guild where women who can come once a month on a Thursday morning that aren't working usually are able to volunteer for that. And they've been helping us with our annual gala that we do every June. That helps us raise money for all the free classes. So the volunteers have been great. The orientations teach them what they can do for us in a variety of ways. Like, for instance, we give away 1,000 healing art boxes to economically disadvantaged children throughout Orange County and San Diego and LA every year. And they're 10 brand new items, that have markers and pastels and pads and different things. And they're in a shoebox. And so they're called healing art boxes. And so we have people that help us deliver those. We have people that help pack those. We have so many different variety of ways that volunteers can help us. And they're all happy, and they stay with us for a really long time. So I guess that must mean something.
And certainly when people go through the program, you had said at the beginning that it's like they take a weight off their shoulders. Can you describe what it looks like when you could see after they've done something on canvas that you can tell the weight is off their shoulders? Because obviously it's not a visual thing. but you can tell.
Oh, I can tell. Well, one way is we are fortunate to have the Pride program, which is part of the Sheriff's Department, and it's through Pepperdine University. So they send kids that have gotten into trouble, and they have to take our class on a weekend as part of what they have to do to make up for what they did. And so they come in, and their arms are just folded, and they're grunting, and they've got earphones on, and they don't even want to look at me. And they sit down, of course, take away the earphones, take away the phones, and just get them started. And again, just like those Wall Street executives I told you about, I promise you, in like under 20 minutes, they are so into it. And one of the boys that was there last Sunday said to me, I did not want to come to this. I thought this was going to be really stupid. And I got to tell you, I got so much out of this that I feel really good, like I could do this more. And I love to write, so I'm going to write and paint now. Those kinds of things. Or the 92-year-old who said to me, I have been grieving over the loss of all of the people around me. Everyone I've known for years have all been dying. And this has been a way for me to get that out. And I get hugs and smiles. And it's the most amazing thing. People that are grumpy leave really happy. And that's the way I know it's worked.
Can you give us some examples of how this helps people? Like if someone's living with a disease, that would be an example.
Yeah, I've had people that are in stage 4 cancer, and they're pretty unhappy, of course, who wouldn't anybody be, but they need a way to get out some of the emotions and some of the feelings. And so the paintings can be very dark and very visceral, and it's a way for them to say what they need to say that they don't always have words for. So, and that's a good thing, because they'll come back and say, I need to do more. And then they'll come back to a class and they'll say, you know, I do have some hope now. I didn't have any hope before, but this is helping me to see that there are some brighter colors inside. And my favorite story was a woman at Hoag Hospital who was in this breast cancer group. And the therapist told me that she had just had a reoccurrence. And so we did an exercise called melting colors. And she was doing it, and the therapist had told me, she's just had a reoccurrence. She's probably not going to share. I don't even know if she's going to really paint. Well, she did paint. And when I asked who would like to share about their painting, she was the first person to raise her hand. And what she said, and I get choked up when I tell the story, she said, I saw colors inside of myself, and I thought there was nothing but darkness because of my cancer, my breast cancer. And now I see that there's so much light and color left. I was blown away. And so was everybody else in the room. The other thing was at City of Hope Cancer Center. I had this woman who was very, very sick, and I had a few of them were attached to a lot of machines. And so she had told me when I got there that she loved art, and she had loved art growing up and all of that, so she was looking forward to it. So she did a painting, and it was all about living with cancer was the title of the painting. And there, the social worker had me ask them questions that she dictated to me to use in my paint in the exercises. So she did the painting, and then she had to leave at the end, but she was able to finish that painting. She missed the last one. And then the paintings were big. They were like 18 by 24. And so I had to take them home because she was gone. They all moved her out somewhere else. And so I took the paintings home. And I get a call like a week later from the social worker. And she said, Laurie, I'm so upset. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, remember so-and-so who was in your class? And I said, yes. She said, well, she passed away a few days after that class. And her family are screaming at me because she had told them about this experience with the painting and how much it meant that she could reveal her journey with cancer on it. And they want that painting. Laurie, do you have any idea where that painting is? And I said, yes, Nellie, I do. I have it. I'll bring it up there. And that was just so moving to me that it meant that much to the family to have that work of art.
Laurie, before we end, please tell everyone how we can get in touch with you and your organization.
art4healing.org with a 4, number 4, art number 4healing.org. I answer my own phone if you want to call me. You can find us. We have a lot of reviews and different ways that you can learn about us. You know, today it's great. You know, on social media, you can look up our website on social media as well, our page on Facebook and Instagram.
You have been listening to Collage, a public affairs show on ksbr.org. I'm Dawn Camber. Our guest has been Art and Creativity for Healing founder, Executive Director Laurie Zagon, who's also an artist, educator, and author. And joining us has been my guest co-host, Elizabeth Ortiz. Please join us next time on KSBR.org.